welcome to another tutorial on Photoshop. This is one specifically about surrealism, and what we're going to do right now is we're going to take the this ball here and we're going to put it into this eye and make it look like the hand is holding onto the iris. So what we did is similar to the hand coming out of the eyelid in a previous tutorial. What I've got here is I took this shot with a light over here, and there's a student's eye, and then immediately after, with the same lighting conditions and with the same camera, took this shot here. The idea is to try and get the same flesh tones and the same lighting. What I didn't anticipate, and what I should have done, is I used a yellow ball, and I see that there's a whole bunch of yellow reflections on the hand, which is going to be a great way for me to teach you how to fix all that. I already cropped that out, and as well as I've already cropped that out as well. So I'm going to take both these layers here, and I'm going to dump them into this eye layer, and we've got them there. And then I think I want to place them in the right spot, so I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to back off the transparency, make it semi-transparent so I can see both. It's going to be easier for me to place them. Holding down the Shift key to select more than one layer, Control T to get the edit and free transform, and then bring that down. Let's go, and we're going to place this there. It kind of looks like a contact lens being placed over the eye, which is kind of cool. There. You got to keep your eye on the ball, I suppose. And so let's back up. And now what I can do is just get rid of the layer with the ball, and I'm just left with this one layer here. I could delete it, but I'm just going to keep it anyways. So then, first thing we got to do is let's fix up this this yellow, because that totally doesn't look like it's appropriate at all. So I'm going to let's take a sample of this color down here, this flesh color. Going to use the eyedropper tool and just select maybe that color. And then what that'll allow me to do, if I use the brush tool, well, I'm actually going to paint a new color over top of there, but we got a couple of things to make it look better. Undo, Control Z. Going to hold down the Control key and select this layer, and that will take with the contents of this layer and turn it into a selection. That's really convenient. Then go to New Layer, and we'll just call it Color. So it makes, and so now because I've got that selection and I'm painting in a new layer, I'm just painting within the confines of that selection, which makes things handy. Control Z. Now I could just paint that, but what I'm going to do is this layer here, because it's an independent layer, I can change the way that layer interacts with the layers underneath it with the blending options. You can see there's all sorts of choices here, like multiply and screen and difference, and some that work well. The one I think is going to work the best there is color. And so essentially I'm taking that color and I'm just making it almost like a sepia tone of but I'm only doing it in select areas. So now we're just going to move over here, and we're going to maybe do it over here. This one will be a little bit different. Maybe I'll take a sample of, take a sample of this over here, and then I'm just going to use the brush tool, and just there, that looks better. Okay, so actually, that's actually looking not so bad. So Control D or select and deselect. Okay, so let's actually add some shadowing in, because that actually didn't turn out too bad. So what I'm going to do now is in a new layer, just going to go shadow. All right, I just named it just to keep things organized. You don't have to name it, but I like to. And again, with my eyedropper tool, going to just take a sample of maybe a dark area in the picture, like something that's in the shadow, and we're going to use that for our shadow color. Now, using my brush tool again, just going to paint my shadow in, except we're going to do a better job than that. Number one, we're going to make our brush bigger. Okay, and actually, if you want, we can just use these square brackets just to make them bigger or smaller. That's a nice way of doing it. The other thing, rather than painting at 100%, we're going to back off the opacity or the strength of our brush to like about there, and then that way we can just do things ever so softly, okay? And we're just going to add them in here, okay? And make that a bit smaller, and like so. Now you'll see though, I'm painting on both. Because this layer is on top, so I need to put that layer underneath the hands, because of course the shadow isn't going to be on the shadow isn't going to be on top of the actual hand. Let's just do that as well. Just there, it's casting a bit of a shadow, a bit of a hazy shadow, not making it too stark. And this is where it kind of pays to maybe be a little artistic. Now I am painting that color in. It also would help if I take that and using those same blend modes to multiply that color. I find that multiply makes things a little bit richer. And sometimes if you were to, especially with shadows, if it's too dark for you, then you can just back it off a little bit like that, okay? So let's continue. I'm just going to add more shadow in. Now I realize that there's a reflection here, but I think the shadow wins out. Let's make that brush a bit smaller, and we're just going to kind of go in there. I think that I'm not 100% happy with the color of these hands. They need a little bit more color correction, but that might be a different day, because you don't want to spend all day watching this tutorial. I'm gonna maybe strengthen there, and then that way we can get on with this a little bit, and then just go over here and just there we go. Okay, so that helps already. Like, that's huge. If I were to go that, the hands look like they're just floating, like they are photoshopped in. It's a bad Photoshop job. Adding in shadows just makes it look like it helps the illusion. It helps it make it seem like it belongs. The other thing I'm going to do too, I think that I want to just darken up the top of this hand here. Still think that this hand is a little too bright. It could use a little bit more help there. But I'm going to maybe in a new layer here again. I won't bother naming that. And still, again, control clicking on the hand to get that selection. What do I want to do? How do I want to do this? I want to just add in a little bit of shadowing again. Again, with the eyedropper tool, maybe taking a color up of like maybe around here. And then just with my brush tool, ever so slightly, just kind of darkening that up. That's way too dark, so we're going to multiply. And then the nice thing is I did it in its own layer, so just going to back it off until I kind of think it fits right. Okay, actually that helps. That helps a lot. Okay, I like that. Hey, that actually didn't turn out too bad, so I'm pretty happy with that. We could continue with it, but I think that I'm pretty happy right now. Good luck with your project, whatever it is. This is just one example. You don't have to do an eyeball, but good luck with your surrealism project.